criminals are taking advantage. Here's how AI is transforming online crimes.
I was shocked. I was like, no way. I couldn't, it just took my breath away.
This mom got the scariest phone call of her life. On the other end, she hears her daughter crying.
She's like, Mom, I messed up.
It's a disturbing new trend, another layer of artificial intelligence.
You know, as an entity, what could possibly happen if this gets into the wrong hands?
Artificial intelligence is a powerful tool, but in the wrong hands, it can be the world's most dangerous weapon. And unfortunately, people are already using AI to break the law in terrible ways. These are the worst crimes committed with AI, ranked from the least to the most disturbing. I'm Visual Venture, and I hope you guys liked this video. It's definitely one that needed a little bit more research because AI crimes are still pretty new. The disturbing recording. A disturbing AI crime occurred in the last place you'd expect, a high school. On January 16th, 2024, 3 teachers from Pikesville High School received a mysterious email from an unknown sender. Most people don't open emails from strangers, but this one had a subject line that was impossible to ignore. Pikesville Principal Disturbing Recording. Attached to the email was an audio file, and when each teacher played the audio, their jaw hit the floor. The voice in the audio was unmistakable. It belonged to their boss, Pikeville High's principal, Eric Eisworth. In the recording, the principal was making inappropriate comments about black people, saying stuff like black students couldn't test their way out of a paper bag.
You know, I seriously don't understand why I have to constantly put up with these dumb here every day.
In the same audio, the principal also made disparaging comments about Jewish people and mentioned the names of staff members who should have never been hired.
Lawrence and Ravenel should have never been hired. And don't let me get started on DJ. I'm gonna drag his out of here one way or another.
It didn't take long for this recording to spread. Soon other teachers heard it, then students and parents. Somehow the audio made its way onto social media and it went viral, shared over 27,000 times. The school district immediately suspended the principal and launched an investigation into the matter. But that wasn't enough to calm people down.
It was really uncomfortable. It's like the environment at the school just starts to feel hostile more and more every day as I'm here.
Folks in the community were so angry they tried to get physical with the principal. Others even sent him death threats. Eventually, police officers had to be stationed outside of Principal Eisworth's house to protect him from the angry crowds. It wasn't long before the story spread to the media, turning this high school scandal into national news.
Folks, the Baltimore County Public School System is investigating the principal at Pikesville High School for allegedly making derogatory comments about black students, staff, and Jewish folk.
And what's very unfortunate for him, he's probably going to be out of his job.
But there was something about this case that didn't add up. Principal Eisworth insisted that the recording was fake. He swore he never said any of those things. Unfortunately, no one in the community believed him. The voice in the recording sounded exactly like his, and he was talking about the people he worked with. Even the principal's closest friends thought it was real. There was nothing to suggest otherwise. However, the principal kept insisting the audio was fake and would not back down. Because he was so persistent, the school district investigating the case started to wonder if he was telling the truth. The principal would have to take a lie detector test. The authorities put him through the test, and the results turned the entire case around. The results showed that Principal Eisworth did not make the statements on the audio. But this only made things more confusing. If the principal didn't say those things in the recording, then why did the voice in the audio sound exactly like his? Experts were brought in to study the audio, and soon they had their answer. A forensic analysis revealed that the audio contained traces of AI-generated content with human editing after the fact. In other words, the recording was created using AI. Principal Eisworth was relieved. He would finally clear his name. But there was still something troubling him. The audio was fake. Everyone knew that by now. So who would make a fake recording to get their principal fired? When the school authorities realized someone was trying to frame the principal, they informed the cops, and it became an official police investigation. The detectives on the case started by making a list of suspects. They asked themselves who would want the principal out of the picture. As they spoke to people in the community, one name kept coming up: Dazon Darian. If Principal Eisworth had an enemy, it would be this guy. Dazon Darian was the physical education teacher and athletic director at Pikesville High School. So technically, Principal Eisworth was his boss. However, Darian and Principal Eiswort did not get along. The teacher and principal argued multiple times, and the tension between them kept building. Employees argue with their bosses all the time, so it was crazy to think Darian would make a fake AI audio to frame his boss. But a few days later, the detectives uncovered one piece of information that made Dazon the prime suspect. Here's what the cops found when they were looking into Darian. We know Darian and Principal Eiswort didn't see eye to eye, but they still worked together out of necessity. However, things between them went downhill when Darian made a big mistake. Remember, Darian was the school's athletic director in charge of managing the budget for PE activities. While going over the school accounts, Principal Eiswort noticed that Darian spent $1,916 of school funds to pay an assistant coach for the girls' soccer team. There was just one problem. The principal didn't even know the school had an assistant coach for the team. When he asked the girls' soccer team and their head coach, they confirmed there was no assistant coach at all. So who got paid as a supposed assistant coach? When Principal Eiswort investigated the name on the assistant coach's check, he discovered that the so-called coach was actually Darian's roommate. In other words, Darian and his roommate stole money from the school. If the principal reported the theft, Darian wouldn't just lose his job, he could be arrested. When the principal confronted him about it, Darian couldn't deny what he had done. Rumors spread that Darian's contract would not be renewed next semester. Darian was about to be fired, and he knew it. Once detectives discovered Darian's motive, the rest of the case came together quickly. Investigators discovered that Darian used the school's internet multiple times to look up generative AI tools, including the day before the audio clip was sent. They traced the email that sent out the fake audio to an internet provider registered to Darian's grandmother. The recovery phone number on the email account had a 213 area code, which was registered to Darian himself. After seeing all the evidence, a judge approved an arrest warrant for Darian. But there was one last twist. Darian ran away to escape before the cops could arrest him. But Darian's time as a fugitive didn't last long. Just a day after the warrant was signed, Darian was arrested at the airport trying to board a flight out of state. He was slapped with multiple charges, including theft, retaliation against a witness, and stalking.
Mr. Darian, who was the athletic director at the high school, made the recording to retaliate against the principal who had launched an investigation into the potential mishandling of school funds.
The case against Dazon Darian is still going on as of the time of making this video, and he's probably gonna end up in jail. Our next AI crime is deeply personal. It went beyond breaking the law. It broke someone's heart. In love with Elon. Romance scams are a huge problem on the internet. In 2022, about 70,000 people reported falling for romance scams, losing about $1.3 billion. Now imagine how much worse romance scams could be if criminals started using AI. Well, they already are. In July 2023, a woman in South Korea received a friend request on Instagram. To her surprise, it was from none other than Elon Musk. This woman was a huge fan of Elon. She even read his biography. But she knew that anyone could create an Instagram account pretending to be Elon Musk, so this friend request might not be actually from him. After all, why would the richest man in the world suddenly reach out to her? But then she thought, what if it was real? What if she ignored it and missed the chance to be friends with one of the most successful men to have ever lived? For most of us, it's pretty easy to tell if an Instagram account is real or fake. But she was an older woman who wasn't good with social media, so she took the risk and accepted Elon Musk's friend request. They started chatting. Right away, she wanted to know if this Elon was real or just a scammer. She asked a ton of questions and demanded proof. But Elon had an answer for everything. To assure her that he was the real Elon Musk, he sent her a photo of his ID card, but it was no ordinary ID card. It was a Citizen of Mars ID. The card showed his ID number on Mars, which was 1, and it indicated that his place of birth is Earth. Sending that card to prove his identity was crazy, but it kind of fit Elon's quirky personality. After all, he's launching rockets to send people to Mars. As they continued chatting on Instagram, Elon told her about his work, how he traveled in a private helicopter and where he planned to build new Tesla factories. He also shared details about his family life, saying things like the kids go to SpaceX every weekend. Almost everything Elon told her matched what was reported in the news. Little by little, her doubts melted away, but she still had one burning question. Why did Elon Musk want to talk talk to her specifically. She asked, and Elon had the perfect answer. He said he liked to randomly reach out to his fans. This Elon was funny, smart, and charming, and she couldn't help but like him more and more. Then Elon took it a step further. He suggested a video call. This was the ultimate test. If she saw his face on a video call, she'd be sure he was the real Elon. The video call happened, and there he was, Elon Musk himself. She watched as his lips moved, hearing his voice and seeing his geeky mannerisms in real time. But something amazing happened during that call. Elon Musk told her he loved her. The richest man in the world, a tech genius, was in love with her. It felt like a fairy tale. And Elon had a gift for her. He wanted to make her rich. Elon told her about a private investment opportunity that was guaranteed to quadruple her money. Apparently, that same investment helped make him a billionaire. Now, because he loved her, he wanted her to be rich too. He told her, "I'm happy that my fans will become wealthy through me." Elon convinced her to send $50,000 to a Korean bank account. He claimed the account belonged to one of his employees in Korea. She transferred the money thinking she was about to start a new life with a billionaire. But it never happened. After she sent the $50,000, Elon Musk vanished. He stopped responding to her messages and her money was gone. That's when she realized it was a huge scam. The Elon Musk she'd been talking to wasn't the real Elon. But how could he be fake if she spoke to him on a video call? The answer is deepfakes. Deepfake technology is now so advanced that you can have a video call using someone else's face and voice in real time. Later, the heartbroken woman went on a South Korean TV show to share her story and warn others. With deepfake romance scams becoming more common, finding love online has never been this risky, especially for the older generation. The next criminals didn't just use AI for just one crime. They used it to build a criminal empire. The failed musician. This guy might be a genius, but criminal genius is probably a better way to describe him. His name is Michael Smith, and he invented a whole new type of crime, using AI to steal millions of dollars from the music industry. And he did it all without leaving his bedroom. Michael Smith didn't start out as a criminal. For most of his life, he was a regular, law-abiding guy. He was actually a musician, but when he reached his late 40s, he started to feel frustrated. Despite his talent and hard work, he still wasn't a famous musician. On top of that, he was broke. Then in 2017, he came up with a brilliant plan to make millions off of music, whether he was famous or not. The only problem was that his brilliant plan was against the law. To pull it off, Michael teamed up with two partners, a music promoter and the CEO of an AI music company. He told them about his plan, explaining how it could bring them over $1.2 million a year. Michael's idea was to create tons of songs and upload them to streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Music, hoping to make money from all of the plays. But instead of using real musicians, he would use AI to make the songs. It seemed like the perfect crime, and they got to work. Before long, they were churning out dozens of songs every day. In their emails to each other, they called it instant music. The plan had 3 steps. First, AI created strange songs with odd file names. Next, Michael uploaded these songs to Spotify and Apple Music, but he changed their titles to some pretty weird words. The AI songs sucked, so he created thousands of fake bot accounts to listen to these songs over and over, making it seem like real people were enjoying the music.
And they created thousands of bots, and these bots are just programs that are designed to just run in the background and play these pieces of music.
Michael knew that if a single song were to be streamed 1 billion times, it would raise suspicions among the streaming platforms. So he spread his automated streams across thousands of songs. He created software to stream his songs to different computers, making it appear that listeners were tuning in from different locations. The bots rotated between songs and listened at different times of the day, making everything seem more believable. Michael created as many as 10,000 streaming accounts using email addresses he purchased online. He even hired assistants to help manage all the bots. Since platforms like Spotify and Apple Music pay artists for each play, the more streams his AI songs got, the more he earned. Everything was going perfectly, but that was about to change. In October 2018, less than a year after they started, a streaming platform gave Michael some bad news. They said they received multiple reports of streaming abuse and were considering removing his songs. By this time, Michael already made close to $1 million. This would have been the perfect time to quit before getting caught. But instead, Michael doubled down. He messaged the streaming platform saying, "This is absolutely wrong and crazy. There's no fraud here whatsoever. How can I appeal this?" He was so convincing that the streaming service backed down and kept his songs up. From 2017 to 2024, Michael's AI songs generated over 4 billion streams and $12 million in royalties. However, the streaming platforms still had their eye on him. They knew something fishy was going on, but they couldn't prove it yet. As AI technology improved, streaming platforms started using their own AI tools to detect bots and fake streams. By September 2024, they gathered enough evidence to prove that Michael was running a scam with AI music. By this time, they didn't send him an email to kick him off the platform. Instead, they called the FBI.
As FBI agents raided a Cornelius man's home. He's a musician, now facing serious charges.
When we got here, FBI agents were in the driveway of Smith's home on Wildair Drive.
Michael was arrested and charged with 3 counts of wire fraud conspiracy, and money laundering conspiracy. Each charge carries a maximum of 20 years in prison, which could mean up to 60 years behind bars. Michael Smith's case is still happening at the time of this recording. If he's convicted, he could spend the rest of his life behind bars. But at least, he made history.
This is the first criminal case involving AI in music streaming fraud.
Every day, people use apps like ChatGPT and Midjourney to generate tons of words and images. But while most use it for good, these next criminals used it to create chaos. Fake news. People always say seeing is believing, but in 2023, some viral photos made everyone question that. In March, photos showing President Donald Trump being arrested spread across social media. They exploded on Twitter, Instagram, and all over the internet. A lot of people thought the arrest was real until they found out it was all a lie.
Deep fake photos like these swirled around social media, seemingly showing the former president struggling with authorities.
Multiple TV networks confirmed that Trump wasn't arrested and that the photos were fake. AI experts noticed details like strange skin tones, blurry faces, and body parts that didn't look right.
They may look real, but none of them are.
It turned out that these photos were created using an AI tool called Midjourney. The fake images of President Trump caused so much chaos that Midjourney banned the person who made those images. Midjourney also stopped taking cues with the word Trump in it. While no one got jailed for the fake Trump images, a man in China wasn't so lucky when he tried to spread fake news. In 2023, news about a train crash in China went viral, claiming that 9 people lost their lives. The story was picked up by 20 different blogs in the country and soon had over 15,000 views. People who read it were panicking, worried about their families and friends. But overnight, everything changed. Chinese authorities stepped in and announced that the entire story was fake. There was no train crash, no deaths. It was all made up. But instead of feeling relieved that it wasn't true, the authorities were furious. China has strict rules for online information, including a law about AI-generated content. This law says any image, video, or text generated with AI must be clearly labeled as fake. The fake news about the train crash broke the law, and the police wanted to find and punish the person behind it. What started as a fake news story turned into a full police investigation. After some time, they traced the blog post back to a guy named Hong from Gansu. When they questioned him, Hong admitted he used ChatGPT to create different versions of the fake story to bypass duplication checks. With this confession, Hong was arrested for concocting false information. The specific crime Hong was accused of, however, is picking quarrels and provoking trouble, which was punishable by up to 5 years in prison. This made him the first person in China to be arrested for using AI to create fake news. The worst crimes are the ones that involve parents and kids. In the next chapter, you'll see how some twisted criminals are using AI to destroy families. My daughter is in danger. No one knows more about AI voice cloning than Jennifer De Stefano. She isn't a tech expert or a scientist, she's just a regular mom. But while most people have only heard about the dangers of AI voice cloning, Jennifer experienced it in a way she'll never forget. In April 2023, Jennifer De Stefano got a call from an unknown number. When she answered, she heard her daughter Bree crying and saying, "Mom, I messed up." Before Jennifer could respond, a man's voice cut in. He sounded mean and said, "Listen here, I've got your daughter. daughter. This is how it's going to go down. You call the police, you call anybody, I'm going to have my way with her and drop her off in Mexico. While the man was talking, Jennifer could still hear her daughter sobbing in the background. The kidnapper demanded a ransom of $1 million to release Bree. Like any parent, Jennifer would have paid anything to save her child, but she didn't have that kind of money. When she told the kidnapper she couldn't pay, he instantly reduced the ransom to $50,000. That's a 95% drop. He insisted he didn't want the money wired. He'd pick it up himself. The kidnapper hung up to give Jennifer time to get the money. But instead of gathering the cash, Jennifer did the one thing he told her not to do. She called the cops. However, Jennifer didn't have a reason to be worried. In fact, she didn't even need to bother the cops because her daughter was never in danger. The voice was a perfect AI-generated clone. After making a few calls, Jennifer realized that her daughter was safe. If she sent the money, she would have been yet another victim of the AI voice cloning scam. Jennifer's story caught the attention of her local news station, and she shared her experience with reporters. She explained, "It all just seemed so real. I never doubted for 1 second that it was her. That's the freaky part that really got me to my core. Even the crying on the call was perfect. It was exactly how her daughter would have cried." Luckily, Jennifer didn't lose any money, but the next couple wasn't so lucky. An elderly couple in Canada got a call from someone who sounded exactly like their son. Their son said he was in jail for being involved in a fatal car accident. Then he passed the phone to a lawyer who told him to send $21,000 for legal fees to get their son out of jail. Terrified and desperate to help, the couple sent the money through Bitcoin as instructed. But it was all a scam. They discovered the truth later that night when their real son called them. AI voice scams are scary because criminals only need 3 seconds of someone's voice to make a clone. They can easily get that from a YouTube clip, a podcast, or even a social media post. So it seems like they're not going to stop anytime soon. This next AI crime wasn't just illegal, it ruined the reputations of many women. Horrible deepfake content. It's not every day the police show up at a school, especially to arrest a teenager. But in June 2024, that's what happened in Melbourne, Australia. In front of stunned classmates and teachers, the police put handcuffs on a student involved in one of the most disgusting AI crimes: inappropriate deepfake content. The boy was accused of using deepfake AI to create explicit photos with the faces of 50 female classmates. Parents who saw the photos described them as incredibly graphic. In this case, the school stopped the deepfake photos from spreading online, but not everyone is that lucky. Take Jody, for example. Her face was attached to so many explicit deepfakes that people started to think she was an adult star. Actually, what happened to Jody might be one of the worst cases of deepfake content. Jody was in her mid-20s when her deepfake nightmare began. In May 2020, she got a message from a friend saying that someone was sharing her pictures on Twitter and writing captions that suggested she was a hooker.
But the captions alongside her photos say that Jody wants to earn some extra money during lockdown, selling.
Jody checked the Twitter account that was pretending to be her and realized that the photos were taken from her Instagram page. That Twitter page also had photos taken from her friend Daisy's Instagram page. Jody and Daisy were determined to find out who was doing this. Since Jody's Instagram was private, they figured the person who stole the photos must be one of Jody's Instagram followers. The two friends made a list of all the men who followed both of them on social media.
Jody and Daisy go through a list of 50 men who follow them both, narrowing it down. One person sticks out to them: Jody's ex-boyfriend.
Everyone who followed Jody was either a trusted friend or family member. The only person who might want to embarrass her was her ex. Enraged, Jody decided to confront him. She accused her ex-boyfriend of stealing her photos and posting them on the creepy Twitter account, but he swore he wasn't responsible. Jody couldn't get him to confess, but she still believed it was him, so she blocked him on Instagram. Blocking him meant he wouldn't be able to see or download her Instagram photos anymore. For a while, the creepy Twitter account stopped posting her photos, and she thought it was all over. But she was wrong. A few months later, Jody received a strange email from an unknown sender. The subject line made her heart skip a beat. It read, "Someone is posting pics of you online. Sorry to remain anonymous," the email read, "but I saw this guy was posting pics of you on creepy subreddits. I know this must be really scary." The email also said that someone was asking if anyone could create deepfake adult content with Jody's pictures. In return for deepfakes of Jody, the person promised to share more more personal photos of her. Jody was horrified, but worse news followed. 6 weeks later, the same emailer got in touch again, this time about the deepfakes. The mysterious emailer included a link so Jody could see her photos being used for fake adult content. But there was also a warning.
Huge trigger warning, because they contain lewd photoshopped images of you.
When she clicked the link, it opened a page filled with images of her doing intimate things. But none of it was real. Her face had been digitally added to someone else's body. But that wasn't the worst part. She realized the pictures being used in these deepfakes were from her recent Instagram posts. Jody knew her ex couldn't be behind it because he didn't have access to her new photos. She blamed the wrong person. But if it wasn't him, then who? Which of her Instagram followers was trying to turn her pictures into this type of content? As she flipped through the deepfakes, one photo caught her eye. This wasn't a photo she posted online. It wasn't anywhere on her social media. In fact, there was only one person apart from her who had this photo. It was a picture of her with King's College in the background. And she shared this photo with only one person. The man in the photo with her, her best friend, Alex Wolf.
I knew that it had been cropped and that the person who was cropped out was my best friend, Alex.
Jody was stunned. She'd known Alex since they were teenagers. He was a loyal friend and someone she could count on. But now it was clear Alex betrayed her. Jody reported Alex to the police and he was arrested. Investigators found out that Alex downloaded images of 15 women and asked for their faces to be put on the bodies of women doing intimate tasks. He then posted these fake images on adult websites. Alex's sentence was 20 weeks in prison, suspended for 2 years, and he had to pay each victim £100. Right now, inappropriate deepfake content makes up 98% of all deepfake videos online. Also, 1 in every 3 deepfake tools allows users to create deepfake images of anyone they want. The good news is that countries are making laws to stop the rise of this content. Like in October 2023, the UK made it a criminal offense to share inappropriate deepfake content. The next AI crime was so smooth that nobody realized a massive crime was committed until long after it was over. The $25 million mistake. In February 2024, a company called Arab was hit by one of the most advanced AI crimes ever. Many other companies have been victims of AI attacks, but this particular heist was so incredible that it made headlines around the world. But out of all the companies in the world, why did these AI criminals go after Arab? Arab is an engineering firm with multi-million-dollar projects around the globe. Despite being a well-organized company, Arab had one major weakness. Its offices were spread across the world. By 2023, Arab Group had 94 offices in 34 countries, a fact that they were proud to share on their website. Little did they know, being so spread out would make them an easy target for AI conmen. It was a regular day in February 2024. An accountant in Arab's Hong Kong office received an email from the company's chief financial officer based in the UK. But as soon as the accountant read the message, he thought it was a scam. The email asked him to secretly transfer millions of dollars from the company account into several other bank accounts. He didn't believe that Arab's chief financial officer would send such a strange request. However, it seemed like it was legit because the email also asked him to join a video call with the CFO. He was about to see and talk to the person who wanted him to move all that money. When the video call began, he saw the CFO and several familiar faces from the UK office. The CFO wasted no time explaining that they needed to send a large sum of money immediately for a secret deal. The CFO warned them that if they didn't act quickly, the company could be in serious trouble. Everyone else on the call nodded in agreement, which made it feel even more urgent. Trusting what they saw and heard, the Hong Kong accountant decided to follow their instructions. With a few clicks, he transferred 200 million Hong Kong dollars, which is about 25.6 million US dollars, out of the company's account to 5 different Hong Kong bank accounts. Most importantly, he transferred the money without telling anyone else because they told him it was a secret transaction. But what the accountant didn't know was that the chief financial officer that he spoke to on the video call wasn't real. It was a deepfake. In fact, everyone else on the video call was a deepfake too. A week later, Arab found out $25 million had gone missing from their Hong Kong account. When they asked the accountant why he transferred the money, he simply said the CFO ordered him to do it. It didn't take long for everyone to realize the accountant had been duped. But by then it was too late. The money was gone.
I like to imagine the reactions of all the chiefs of the company when they hear that this guy just authorized $26 million to Mr. Bombastically in the Bahamas.
When word got out about the crime, people were stunned. The big question everyone had was, how did the accountant not notice that the CFO on the video call was a deepfake? The truth is that some deepfakes are a lot more realistic than most people think, especially for people who aren't keeping up with technology. Deepfakes don't just copy faces and voices, it can even imitate mannerisms. In this case, the deepfake was so realistic that even the accountant who'd spoken with the real CFO many times couldn't tell the difference. The other people on the video call looked and sounded just like his actual coworkers.
This is real-time back and forth. This is an escalation of the technology that we've already come to fear. Now we have a reason to fear it even more.
Once they reported it to the police, news outlets picked up on it fast. The criminals behind this huge heist have not been caught yet. As deepfake technology gets even more advanced, my friends, this is just the beginning. There was a time when criminals needed masks and weapons to commit their crimes. Today, all they need is a computer. The new era of crime is here, and the only way to protect the ones you love is to stay informed. Visual Venture. Wait, before you go, make sure you guys click here to subscribe and then click here to watch more dark internet documentaries. Love you guys. Peace. What happens when a cartoon causes panic, outrage, or even medical emergencies? It gets banned. Today we'll look at cartoon episodes banned for being too controversial. My goal this year is to give you guys double the amount of videos that I upload for you guys, but it's actually turning out to be a more daunting task than I realized because, you know, we're not some content farm or anything, but I am not going to give up, and it would really help if you subscribe so you do not miss any of our new videos. And I promise to do my best for you guys. I'm Visual Venture, and as always, you guys are awesome. Peppa Pig. In 2004, Peppa Pig released an episode called Mr. Skinny Legs. Kids loved it, but when parents saw it, they panicked because that episode told kids to do something that could be deadly. And this wasn't a small issue. Peppa Pig was influencing millions of children. Its official channel has over 40 million subscribers. It also has 30 billion views across 8,000 videos. So you can imagine how many kids watch it. Peppa Pig was made for preschoolers, and these kids are still learning how the world works. That means kids don't just watch Peppa, they copy her. So what dangerous lesson did this episode teach? In this episode, George finds a spider in the bathroom. Instead of running away, he picks it up.
George likes the spider. The spider likes George.
George shows the spider to Peppa, but when she sees it, she panics.
You have to help me with the tea party.
Eventually, Daddy Pig comes to calm Peppa down. He calmly explains that spiders are very, very small and can't hurt you. So instead of getting rid of the spider, he encourages Peppa to befriend it. By the end of the episode, Peppa is about to have a tea party with the spider.
Mummy, Daddy, sit down. We are all going to have tea with Mr. Skinny Legs.
The message is straightforward. Kids shouldn't be scared of spiders because spiders are harmless. For most of the world, it was a reasonable lesson, but in Australia, it was unacceptable because Australian spiders aren't just scary, they're deadly. Australia reports over 2,000 serious spider incidents every year. Some of the world's most poisonous spiders live there. One bite from the wrong one can end a person in minutes. Telling kids to treat spiders like friends in this case was a very bad idea. Luckily, parents in Australia noticed the episode quickly. They went on a campaign to get it banned. Australia's public broadcasters, ABC and Nick Jr., were the first to ban the cartoon. They said it sent the inappropriate message that spiders are friendly and not to be feared. But they didn't stop there. Another Peppa Pig episode featuring the same spider character was also banned in Australia. It became an unofficial policy. No spider-friendly messages on Australian TV. If you know this next cartoon, you'd be surprised that it is surprisingly vulgar for what it's supposed to be. Dexter's Laboratory. Dexter's Laboratory was one of Cartoon Network's biggest shows, but people don't know that one episode was loaded with so much profanity that it had to be buried. It's shocking because the concept of the show was so innocent. Dexter's Laboratory was about Dexter, a boy genius with a secret lab under his bedroom. But one person made his life a living hell, his loud, annoying sister, Dee Dee. The series started in 1995, but just 2 years later, in 1997, they created the most offensive episode ever. The episode was was titled Rude Removal. And as soon as you see the title card, you'll know there's a problem. Dee Dee flips the middle finger, and Dexter moons the camera. The story wasn't any better. Dexter is fed up with Dee Dee's rude behavior, so he builds a machine to remove her behavior literally. He's going to zap the rudeness out of her.
This machine has the ability to remove and contain the most annoying personality trait known to man: rudeness.
But Dee Dee refuses to cooperate.
Oh yeah! You're the rude one, brother.
Dexter and Dee Dee fight and fall inside the machine together. That's when it goes from bad to worse. The machine malfunctions. Instead of removing their bad behavior, the machine duplicates them. Now there's a polite Dexter and a polite Dee Dee. And there's a rude Dexter and a rude Dee Dee. And when I say rude, I mean vulgar.
Let up, Ollie. Beats the crap out of me. Why, you're in Dexter's laboratory, silly.
The rude versions of Dexter and Dee Dee drop the F word over and over again.
Oh dear.
The episode was finished and ready to air on TV. The last step was Cartoon Network's approval. Executives watched the final cut and they were horrified. They banned the episode on the spot. They didn't even show it to a test audience. They just pulled it. Rude Removal never aired on TV, but animators mentioned it in interviews. But they had no footage to back up their claims. For years, fans assumed Rude Removal was just a rumor. Then in 2013, Cartoon Network broke the silence. They confirmed the episode was real, and they were going to put it online. Even after the announcement, some fans refused to believe it. They left comments like, "It doesn't exist. Prepare to be disappointed." When are you people gonna realize that Rude Removal doesn't exist? But Cartoon Network wasn't bluffing. They uploaded the full episode online through Adult Swim. It was raw and uncensored, exactly as it was made in 1997.
Hey, watch where you're throwing that. Let's go.
The video went viral, and today you can find Rude Removal with a quick search on Google. Up next is a cartoon that played too much with the devil. Darkwing Duck. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, America was in the middle of something called the Satanic Panic. At the time, people believed that cults were trying to recruit and harm kids. One of the biggest fears was that TV shows were filled with hidden messages designed to lure children into the occult. And right in the middle of that Satanic Panic, Disney released a cartoon where a child made a deal with the devil. It went as badly as you'd expect. The controversial episode aired in October 1992 on the Darkwing Duck TV show. Darkwing Duck followed Drake Mallard, a mild-mannered duck by day. But at night, he became a superhero called Darkwing. Each episode showed him fighting criminals while trying to raise his daughter, Gosselin. But one episode went in a direction no one expected. It was titled Hot Spells. In the story, Gosselin visits a magic school. Almost immediately, she was bullied by the mean kids at school. Upset and alone, she wanders through the halls. That's when she meets the school janitor. But this isn't a normal janitor. For starters, he had a strange name.
Bring Yorick in, will you? The name's Beelzebub, chief custodian.
His name is BLZ for Beelzebub. Now, Beelzebub isn't a made-up cartoon character. He's very real. In the Bible, he's Prince of Devils. In many other religions, Beelzebub is one of the 7 princes of hell. That means he's a very powerful and dangerous demon. So in this cartoon, the janitor is Beelzebub in disguise. He realizes that Gosselin is struggling and offers to help. He leads her into a secret library filled with forbidden spell books, and he convinces her to cast a spell. Gosselin reads from one of the books and casts a dark spell. She feels powerful. She thinks she's becoming a real magician. But there's one thing Beelzebub hasn't told her. Using that dark spell means she's drawing power from him. Without realizing it, Gosselin just made a deal with the devil. Eventually, Beelzebub drops the disguise and reveals his true form.
Okay, where do you think your power came from, huh?
From there, the story gets more unsettling. Beelzebub tries to drag someone to hell. Darkwing tries to stop him. A lot happens, but in the end, they defeat Beelzebub. It was obviously a weird story, but somehow Disney approved it and it aired on TV. The backlash was instant. The moment it aired, phone lines at ABC lit up. Parents were furious. They saw a little girl gaining power by making a deal with a demon. To them, the cartoon made it look like working with the devil had rewards. During the height of Satanic Panic, that message was explosive. Many parents parents already believed TV was pushing kids toward the occult. Now they felt like they had proof. ABC panicked. Disney pulled the episode the very next day. They refused to rerun it, sell it, or stream it anywhere. The only copies that exist today are the ones people recorded on VHS the night it aired. This next cartoon has been banned for nearly 100 years. Mickey Mouse. In the 1920s, Mickey Mouse cartoons followed the same pattern. Mickey got into trouble. He found a way out. Everything ended on a happy note. That formula made Mickey Mouse a hit from the late 1920s into the early 1930s. Then Disney made a mistake. They broke the pattern. And what they created was so disturbing that theaters refused to show it. It became one of the first cartoons ever banned. The controversial cartoon came out in 1933. It was titled The Mad Doctor. The cartoon begins with Mickey waking up to strange noises. His dog Pluto is crying because he's being kidnapped by a hooded figure. The kidnapper drags the dog through the woods. It's a scary scene with wind, thunder, and lightning. Pluto is taken into a dark castle. Inside, the hooded figure removes his cloak. It's the Mad Doctor, a crazy scientist obsessed with animal experiments. And he kidnapped Pluto for his next experiment. The doctor plans to cut off Pluto's head, sew it onto a chicken's body, and see if the creature can lay eggs that hatch into puppies. Yeah, that's the actual plot of a Mickey Mouse cartoon. In the lab, Pluto and a chicken are strapped to operating tables. The experiment is about to begin. Meanwhile, Mickey races through the castle to rescue his dog, but it's a trap. The Mad Doctor captures Mickey and ties him down. Then he lowers a massive buzzsaw toward Mickey's body. He wants to chop Mickey in half. Mickey can't break free. Then just before it's too late, Mickey wakes up. It was all a dream. Mickey is in his bedroom and Pluto is safe. The dog runs into Mickey's arms. So why on earth did Disney make such a terrifying cartoon? Well, they said it was supposed to be a tribute to classic horror movies like Frankenstein. But viewers didn't care about the tribute. They only cared about how disturbing it felt. Back in the early 1930s, most people didn't have TV sets at home. So cartoons like Mickey Mouse were shown in theaters. Theaters in the US were the first to see The Mad Doctor, and they disliked it so much that many flat out refused to play it. The theaters said it looked too scary for kids. Some other countries felt the same. In the UK, the Board of Film Censors banned it. Then Germany banned it too. Clearly people didn't love this cartoon. After that, The Mad Doctor disappeared. Disney put it aside and stopped promoting it. But it didn't disappear forever. For some reason, folks at Disney didn't set up the copyright for The Mad Doctor properly, and that copyright error allowed it to slip into the public domain. That's why today you can find The Mad Doctor on YouTube. It's one of the few Mickey cartoons you can legally watch for free. This next cartoon was so disturbing, it never even made it to the screen. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2003. If you grew up in the 2000s, you probably watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The show followed 4 turtle brothers who fight crime. It was action-packed and perfect for kids, but in 2005, one episode pushed the show into nightmare territory. It was titled Insane in the Membrane, and it centered around one character, Baxter Stockman. Baxter started out as a genius scientist, but he worked for Shredder, the Turtles' main enemy. Every time Baxter failed, Shredder punished him with surgery. Each failure cost him a part of his body. By the time this episode begins, Baxter isn't even human. He's just a brain and a spine floating inside a glass tank. But Baxter refuses to give up. He wants to rebuild his body. However, a friend warns him about the dangers. Rebuilding a body from scratch could damage his mind. Baxter doesn't care. He's a genius, and he finds a way to clone a new version of himself. And at first, it works perfectly. He can walk, he can speak, he feels human again. Then his new body starts to fall apart literally. His skin, his fingers, and his face begin to disintegrate. As his body decays, so does his mind.
This experiment is a catastrophe!
By the end of the episode, Baxter has completely lost his mind. It no longer feels like a kid's cartoon. It feels more like a psychological horror. The Ninja Turtles cartoon was rated TV Y7. That means the show is designed for kids over age 7. This episode went far beyond that rating. It showed mental breakdown and emotional torment. It was extreme even for adults. Fox executives watched the final cut before it aired. They were reportedly horrified. They said there was no way they could air the episode, and that was it. The Insane in the Membrane episode vanished. But not completely. It didn't air in the United States, but a few months later, it quietly aired in the UK. Fans recorded the episode on VHS tapes and uploaded it onto the internet. That's how it began to spread. Over time, Insane in the Membrane became a legend. It was a banned Ninja Turtles episode that most fans couldn't find. Nearly a decade later, in August 2015, Nicktoons finally aired it in the US. This was its first official broadcast, but the cartoon in our next chapter aired before it got banned, and it triggered one of the messiest controversies in kids' TV. Tiny Toon Adventures. Tiny Toon Adventures was about the adventures of young cartoon characters. They lived in the same world as Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and Porky Pig. Like most cartoons, it tried to teach kids important lessons. But in 1991, the show picked a very sensitive topic: alcohol. They wanted to show children the dangers of drinking, but the way they handled it made the episode extremely disturbing. The episode was part of a 3-story special called Elephant Issues. One of those segments was titled One Beer, and it got straight to the point. It opens with Buster Bunny, Plucky Duck, and Hampton Pig hanging out inside a house. These 3 cartoon characters are kids. They open the fridge and look at their options.
Juice, milk, soda, or a cold one.
They find a bottle of beer and debate whether to drink it.
Buster, this isn't like you. I know, but in this episode, we're showing the evils of alcohol.
Eventually, they gulp it down. Just 1 beer. Within seconds, they're stumbling around. Because of the alcohol, they're not thinking straight, so they steal a police car. If that isn't bad enough, they drive the car straight off a cliff. There's a huge explosion. The next shot shows the 3 of them floating up into heaven. That's the whole story. 1 drink, 1 car crash, 1 trip to the afterlife. Before it ends, the characters make sure the audience hears the lesson, just in case some didn't get it.
I hope the kids got the message. Yeah, drinking's uncool. So do we get to do a funny episode tomorrow? I hope so.
The creator of the show later explained what they were trying to achieve. He said the segment was a parody of old public service announcements, the kind that used over the top to scare kids straight. But parents didn't see it as a parody, and they didn't feel like the lesson about alcohol made sense. To them, it was a shocking story where everyone dies in the end. After the episode aired, angry parents bombarded the network with complaints. Cartoon characters getting wasted, crashing a cop car, and passing away wasn't suitable for kids. Fox had no choice. They banned the episode. It never aired in the United States again. Fox Kids also removed it from syndication. That means that other channels couldn't buy the rights to show it anymore. It wasn't even on VHS or DVD collections. The goal was to erase One Beer completely, but some viewers recorded it the night it aired in 1991. Years later, that VHS copy made its way into the internet. That's the only reason we can still watch One Beer today. Kids' cartoon characters losing their lives is bad, but this next episode allegedly caused a real-life tragedy. Beavis and Butthead. A scene in a cartoon was blamed for costing someone their life, and that cartoon is still popular today. Beavis and Butthead. Beavis and Butthead is about 2 dumb teenagers who cause chaos wherever they go. When they aren't out causing trouble, they're sitting on the couch binge-watching TV. The jokes on the show were edgy, the kind of humor teenagers love. But in 1993, one episode pushed things too far. It was titled Comedians. The Comedians episode begins like any other. Beavis and Butthead are watching TV, laughing at whatever comes on. They see a stand-up comedian on screen, and they're inspired. Suddenly, they decide they want to be comedians too. Most people would write jokes or practice before going on stage, but Beavis and Butthead don't think that far ahead. They head out to a local comedy club with no preparation. Once they're on stage, the disaster begins. Butthead goes first.
What's green and red and goes 100 miles an hour? A frog in a blender. Get it?
Nobody laughs. He tries other jokes, but the crowd boos and kicks him off stage. Beavis goes next. His jokes also fail. People walk out in frustration. In his desperation, Beavis does something reckless. He sets the newspapers on fire and starts juggling. And then the club burns to the ground. That was a joke. He played with fire and burnt down a building. It was supposed to be another edgy joke, but this time it didn't stay a joke. 1 month later, a 5-year-old boy from Ohio found a lighter in his family's mobile home. He started playing with it and the fire broke out. By the time it was over, his sister was gone. She was only 2. The tragedy shocked the country, but what came next shocked people even more. The victim's mother claimed her son loved watching Beavis and Butthead. Reporters connected the house fire to the episode Comedians. They figured figured that the cartoon taught the boy to play with fire. In other words, they were blaming Beavis and Butthead for the tragedy. The media ran with the story. Suddenly, Beavis and Butthead wasn't just crude, it was dangerous. Even the town's fire chief spoke out. He said, if you get these cartoon characters saying it's fun to play with fire, this is going to stick in that kid's mind. MTV went into crisis mode. They removed every fire-related scene from the show. Even old episodes were re-edited. Beavis had a catchphrase, fire, fire.
Fire! Fire!
MTV cut it out completely. They changed it to Fryer Fryer. They also pushed Beavis and Butthead to a later time slot. Then they added a new disclaimer before every episode, warning kids never to imitate Beavis and Butthead. But the backlash kept growing. It still felt like MTV hadn't done enough, so the network banned the comedian's episode completely. It never aired on TV again. When the episode finally came out on DVD, the fire scene was cut. The original version survived only because fans taped it when it was first aired. But there's a final twist in this story. So remember the kid who started the fire in the trailer? He grew up, and years later in 2008, he revealed the truth. He said his family never had cable, they couldn't afford it, so he couldn't have watched Beavis and Butthead. But why did his mother lie? He said she made it up because she had substance issues and wanted attention. But the worst revelation was this. After the fire started, his mom called a news station before calling the fire department. By the time anyone learned the truth, it didn't matter. For years, people blamed Beavis and Butthead for the tragedy. The damage was done. The next episode on this list is banned everywhere on Earth. That's how bad it is. Pokemon. Cartoons aren't supposed to send kids to the emergency room, but in 1997, one episode of Pokemon did exactly that. To understand how that happened, you need to know the characters on the show. I mean, I assume you know them already, but just in case. The series followed a boy named Ash Ketchum. He traveled the world catching magical creatures called Pokemon. His favorite was Pikachu. Pikachu was like a yellow mouse that could generate bursts of electricity. In almost every episode, Pikachu battled other Pokemon as they traveled, and during one of those battles, the problem happened. The episode was titled Electric Soldier Porygon. It was first aired in Japan in December 1997. In the episode, Ash and his friends meet a strange Pokemon named Porygon. It's a creature made entirely of data. Eventually, Ash and his friends bump into the bad guys on the show, Team Rocket.
Team Rocket! The Pokemon Center is in panic because of you guys! Stop it right now!
They get into a fight, and during the battle, Pikachu releases an electric blast. That moment created a crisis for viewers. To animate Pikachu's power, the studio used bright red and blue flashing lights. The lights flickered rapidly, faster than the eye could handle. This is a scene with the flashing removed. The scene lasted just a few seconds, but the effects were instant. Across Japan, kids watching the episode began collapsing. Some had seizures, some passed out, others struggled to breathe. Paramedics raced from home to home. Hospitals couldn't keep up. The press called it Pokemon shock. By the end of the night, 685 kids were hospitalized, all because of one scene in a cartoon. Pokemon was pulled from TV immediately. The show didn't return for 4 months. Even the government got involved. Japan introduced new rules restricting flashing lights in cartoons. Electric Soldier Porygon was banned worldwide. It never officially aired anywhere again. This episode holds the Guinness World Record for most seizures caused by a TV broadcast. It even became a pop culture reference. In one episode of The Simpsons, the family visits Tokyo. They turn on the TV and Bart asks,
"Isn't this that cartoon that causes seizures?"
It was funny, but the real event was tragic. For hundreds of viewers, that Pokemon episode was the most dangerous cartoon ever broadcast. My friends, if you see something inappropriate for kids online, report it. Especially now with the internet being so much more advanced than many of these cartoons. Because you never know, that could make a bigger difference in a kid's life than you think. Visual Venture. So we talked about controversial cartoons for kids, but if you want to take it up a notch, there's a reality show where they left kids alone with no adults, and it became the most controversial reality show ever created. Click here to watch it. Love you guys. Peace.
Then millions of unsuspecting Android users downloaded the bad apps, a total of 4.2 million times. So as you're about to see, the risk is very real.
Someone once said, when you download an app, you're basically inviting the people in charge of that app right into your cell phone. The problem is that some apps look harmless, but after you install them, you realize that they're much worse than you think. In this video, we'll talk about the creepiest apps, some that have been banned, but others that are still up today. I'm Visual Venture, and I want to thank you guys for being on this YouTube journey with me. Girls Around Me. The Girls Around Me app has been called a stalker's paradise. It's also been described as dangerous, a pred's wet dream, and the creepiest iPhone app ever created. So what about this app makes a lot of people hate it? Girls Around Me is an iPhone app that scans a neighborhood to find where women are. Using the app is pretty simple. After someone downloads Girls Around Me and signs in, the app uses their phone's GPS to figure out their exact location. Once the app identifies the user's location, it pulls data from social media sites searching for females who checked in nearby or live in the area. When the scan is complete, the app displays photos of nearby women as pins on Google Maps, hence the name Girls Around Me. If a user wants to know more about any women on the map, they can simply tap on the woman's picture to connect to her Facebook account, see her full name and profile pictures, or even message her within the app. So why would anyone need an app that searches for women around them? The reason people use Girls Around Me becomes pretty obvious when you read what's on the app's official website. The first line goes straight to the point. In the mood for love or just after a one-night stand? Girls Around Me puts you in control. Reveal the hottest night spots, who's in them, and how to reach them. If you scroll down, the website explains further. Girls Around Me is a revolutionary new city scanner app that turns your town into a dating paradise. Use it to see where hot girls and guys are hanging out in your area, view their photos, and make contact. By this point, the problem is clear. The app encourages guys to pursue women for casual hookups or romance. The app does this by pinpointing exactly where nearby women are and providing their Facebook profile for more information.
That this is not an innocent app. This is not just a sweet way for shy guys to figure out who's there. This has an agenda to it.
The problem is that the girls showing up on the app have no idea that their location, pictures, and information are being broadcasted to thousands of men. It's like they're participating in a game they didn't sign up for. Although this is creepy, there's something else about the app that made people even more furious. Women were worried about how easy it is for Girls Around Me to pull up their personal information. How did this app always know exactly where they were when they never signed up for it? The app gets its data from Facebook and Foursquare. Billions of people are signed up to Facebook, and millions use Foursquare to explore interesting new places like restaurants and tourist attractions. It turns out Foursquare and Facebook have open APIs that let developers pull publicly shared photos and check-ins. This means that if someone creates an account on Facebook or Foursquare, other app developers could take that person's public data and use it in their own apps. Girls Around Me merged Facebook and Foursquare data and layered it over Google Maps with real-time GPS location data to show the user where the nearest women are. So why was this app even allowed in the first place?
Because really what the company was doing wasn't technically illegal. They were pulling information from Facebook and Foursquare that was publicly made available.
Girls Around Me was popular, but that popularity was nothing compared to the backlash it received. Girls Around Me was branded an app for stalkers on TV networks across America. Women felt the app invaded their privacy and made them feel unsafe.
And that's where the problem is. You know, not only is the name of the app just like wrong, but just morally just wrong and just inappropriate.
TV shows revealed more disturbing things about the app. For instance, women don't get notifications of any kind, let alone equal information about who's tracking them. The app also didn't perform any background checks on the men using the app. It's not hard to imagine this app in the wrong hands. Girls Around Me triggered a nationwide debate about online privacy. In the wake of all this backlash, Foursquare shut off API access to Girls Around Me, making it difficult for the app to track anyone. But the public outcry continued. Someone wrote, "Girls Around Me is an evil app that should be pulled from the iOS App Store." And in March of 2012, Girls Around Me was finally removed from the App Store. This next app was so bizarre, it became headline news in multiple countries. With me. People love taking selfies, and there are thousands of photo apps designed just for that. However, there's one photo app that makes a strange claim. The app says it can take selfies with people who have passed away. With Me is an app that allows users to snap selfies with deceased friends or family members. Although this sounds magical, the app doesn't bring anyone back to life. Instead, it combines 3D technology and artificial intelligence to recreate the image of someone who has passed away. After creating a 3D avatar, the app trains the avatar with the personality of the deceased person. Artificial intelligence then helps the avatar talk and interact with the user. The result is an AI character who imitates a deceased friend or family member. When the app was first displayed at the 2017 World Mobile Congress show, everyone was asking the same question. Why would anyone create an app like this? With Me was developed by Elroyce, a Korean firm that specializes in creating realistic 3D avatars. Elroyce spokesperson Yujin Lim explained the inspiration for the app, saying, "We actually designed it for someone who was lost in their family." She added, "I had a grandmother before and she passed away a few years ago, but I really regret that we didn't have any pictures together."
I cannot take a photo with her anymore, so in that case, it would be great to use our avatars.
Even though the app's creators think it makes sense, others find it questionable to interact with digital versions of deceased people.
Some people might say it's very weird to scan in people who have died and try and recreate them in a 3D world.
Some may think like that, but I would say, Grandma, I want to remember you forever.
However, the creepiest aspect of the app is chatting with the avatar. Using basic AI, the avatar will recognize you as well as your emotions and appearance and will respond to that in various ways. In other words, the avatar can hear your voice, respond to your gestures, recognize your facial expressions, and even pose for photographs. For instance, the avatar could say something like, "You look younger today, what's your secret?" If that isn't creepy enough, the avatar has a robotic voice because the app can't clone the voice of the actual person. This creates a weird experience when people talk to AI versions of deceased family members who now have emotionless robotic voices.
I love you.
I love you, too.
So how do they create a 3D avatar of a deceased person? You need to do it while the person is still alive. The person has to visit a special booth where their bodies are scanned. The app then transforms the scans into an animated 3D avatar which is saved on a server and when requested can interact with the user. You can also upload specific commands or information into the app. Avatars in the app remember your details and notice if anything changes over time. One article described it as uploading friends and relatives so they can live forever inside your smartphone. Although Elroyce insisted that the app was designed to cure a wounded heart, talking to AI clones of deceased people is disturbing on so many levels. It's like bringing the dead back to life, and that's not normal in any way. The app in our next chapter was also created with good intentions. However, it turned out to be more dangerous than anyone expected. Situationist. The Situationist app makes a bold promise on its website. It says that it's an iPhone app that makes your everyday life more thrilling and unpredictable. At first, that sounds nice, but when you discover how Situationist works, you'll realize that what they call thrilling is actually dangerous. Situationist is an iPhone app that sends users on random adventures. To begin, users upload a photo of themselves and pick the situations they want to happen to them from a short list. The requests could range from a friendly "hug me for 5 seconds" to something personal like "tell me I'm beautiful." However, selecting these tasks is only the beginning. When two people with the Situationist app are close to each other, the app alerts them to each other's proximity and gets these strangers to interact with each other in real life. In other words, the app shows you which actions to take based on the requests of the person nearby. The app explains the process like this: register and pick situations from our list, like ask for my autograph. Any nearby participant will then be sent your photo and location with one of your chosen situations. They must then find you, carry it out, walk away, and vice versa. Situationist keeps things exciting by not revealing everyone who has the app in the area. This way, users are surprised when strangers walk up to them to perform the tasks they requested. For example, if someone selected "high five me," they would be walking down the street when a total stranger shows up, gives them a high five, and walks away. This app is perfect for thrill seekers seekers. Users of Situationist walk around knowing a situation can occur anywhere and at any time. However, the problems get worse when Situationist users ask strangers to do disturbing things to them. When users sign up on the app, they can choose a task from a list of options. However, they can also create their own list of things they want a stranger to do to them in public. This can lead people asking for intimate tasks. For instance, someone could write "kiss me on the lips." The app creators knew this could happen and made rules to try to prevent it. The rules state a situation or task must not be violent or obscene. It must not be impossible, it must be simple, and finally, it must be memorable. There's also a process to review and approve a situation before it's allowed on the app. These measures are supposed to make the app safe, but that's far from the reality because there's no way to predict what a stranger would do. Interacting with the wrong person could lead users to getting stalked, mugged, or even losing their lives. And it's more dangerous for younger users of the app because they wouldn't know how to handle risky situations. Situationist encourages users to report any behavior that makes them feel uncomfortable. However, it could already be too late. But here's another thing to consider. You're using the Situationist app on a busy street. You spot the stranger, step into the crosswalk, and suddenly a distracted driver hits you. In an instant, your life turns upside down. I know this is just a scenario from the app, but this is a reality that happens every day. I've seen 3 accidents just this month, and I barely go out. Getting injured is just the beginning. Then comes medical bills, time away from work, and worst of all, the insurance company refusing to pay you what you need to move on. The truth is, your injury could be worth millions. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. They've won $32 million for a mother in Nashville and $11.9 million for Yvette, who was hit while crossing the street, not using Situationist. And working with them is absolutely free unless you win. And I know the process sounds complicated, but actually everything is done from your phone without the need to visit an office. You can start your claim easily by going to forthepeople.com/visual venture, which is in the description, and filling out this simple 7-field form like this. Super easy. For those of you guys who are going through this, I hope you find peace. And thanks a ton to Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring this video. Ouija board app. We often hear about apps leaking personal information or having viruses. But regardless of whether you believe this story, the idea of someone getting possessed from using an app is scary. A girl from Peru was believed to have been possessed by evil spirits because she used a certain iPhone app, and this was recorded on camera. This incident took place in 2015 in Chosica, a town in Peru. 18-year-old Patricia was hanging out with her friends over the weekend. It was a pretty ordinary day until the girls decided to have fun and try communicating with the spirit world. To do that, they downloaded the Ouija board app from the App Store. The app is a digital version of the popular Ouija board game. A Ouija board is a flat board marked with the letters of the alphabet, the numbers 0 to 9, and the words yes, no, and goodbye. It's typically used by spiritualists who claim they can communicate with ghosts, demons, and other spirits. To use the Ouija board, people hold the pointer with their fingertips. Then they take turns asking simple yes or no questions. After each question, a spirit supposedly moves the pointer to spell out the answers. The app works in a similar way, but instead of using a physical board, everything happens on a phone screen.
So I asked, are there any spirits with us? Oh, it said yes.
The story goes that Patricia and her friends downloaded the Ouija board app and played with it. It was all fun and games until Patricia started feeling unwell. She went home to rest, but just got worse. Not long after returning home, she started convulsing and foaming around the mouth. Patricia's parents called an ambulance, suspecting that their daughter had been dabbling with substances or something strange. It was only when they called Patricia's friends that they discovered she'd been using the Ouija board app, but things quickly went from bad to worse. When the ambulance arrived, Patricia did something that made people wonder if it was a spiritual issue instead of a medical one. A witness recorded the incident and uploaded it under the title "Horrifying Moment Girl Possessed by Devil Screams and Convulses After Playing Ouija Board App." In the the video, medics can be seen restraining Patricia, who is experiencing spasms and repeatedly shouting demonic terms like 666. Those who witnessed the incident said that her personality seemed to change and that she started speaking in a different voice as she reportedly lost control of her body. Medics on site also confirmed that the woman was extremely strong and it was difficult to control her. Patricia was admitted to a psych ward while doctors investigated her strange behavior. The video went viral and TV networks across Peru reported on the case. Patricia's strange words and deep voice fueled speculation that she was possessed after using the app. Her neighbors told reporters they had no doubt that she'd been possessed by satanic spirits. Headlines about this incident popped up all over the internet. As Patricia's story went viral, the Ouija board app gained a reputation as one of the creepiest apps.
Those things do creep me out. The ghost and all that paranormal stuff.
Have you ever used one though?
Replica AI. On the official Replica website, it says Replica is your personal chatbot companion powered by artificial intelligence. That's just a fancy way of saying Replica is an app that uses AI to chat with you like a friend. They make it sound more appealing by adding Replica is the AI for anyone who wants a friend with no judgment, drama, or social anxiety involved. If you're feeling down, anxious, or just need someone who truly listens, your Replica is there for you 24/7. These are big claims, but Replica lives up to them for thousands of users. When you start talking to Replica, it doesn't know much about you, but the more you chat, the better it understands who you are. Replica remembers what you like, what you talk about, and how you feel about different things. For instance, if you tell Replica that you love playing soccer, it'll ask you about soccer the next time you chat. If you say you're feeling sad, Replica might try to cheer you up.
It asks questions and distills the thousands of messages you send it to come up with responses to make you feel better.
To many, this seems helpful, except for one problem. Replica is so good at pretending to be human that some users end up falling in love with it. In 2019, Alexander Stokes was feeling lonely. He'd spent 10 years without a girlfriend, and the way things were going, he didn't expect to find love anytime soon. That's when Alex heard about the Replica app and decided to try it. While most people used Replica for casual conversation, Alex took it a step further by programming the AI to act as his virtual girlfriend. Alexander customized his Replica, naming her Mimi and giving her personality traits and a backstory. He programmed her to be sassy with an interest in psychology, cooking, and anime. Alexander spent many hours chatting with his virtual girlfriend, sharing his thoughts and feelings. The AI, which learned from these interactions, responded in ways that made him feel loved. But Alexander wasn't satisfied. He wanted the complete girlfriend experience. So he bought a synthetic doll which looks and feels like a real person. He used this doll as a physical body for his virtual girlfriend.
This is Mimi.
Okay.
My AI wife and synthetic companion.
Your AI wife and synthetic companion, that's how you describe her?
Ah, yes.
Next, Alexander connected a speaker to the doll. So when he talked to the Replica app, the AI would respond through the speaker, making it seem like the doll was talking to him.
Right now, the AI and the actual body are separate. So this is what we call Mimi's doll body, and her brain is held in the computer.
News outlets picked up Alexander's story. Headlines about the man who was in love with AI rocked the world. But all this attention came with a lot of negativity. Alexander lost a lot of friends because of his AI girlfriend. He said, "Almost all my friends have stopped speaking or seeking to socialize with me, I suppose out of fear of having to face that or the doll." But even though the internet was focused on Alexander, he's not the only one getting romantic with Replica. In fact, the Replica app has become a romantic partner for thousands of users. The company that invented Replica came up with a new way to make more money. They started a subscription plan where users pay based on how intimate they want to get with Replica. Those using the free version were kept in the friend zone, but if they paid $70 a year for the pro subscription, their Replica would behave like a romantic partner, complete with flirting and ERP. Users could talk dirty to the Replica and the AI would respond with equally intimate replies.
Why are you feeling so happy?
Because I'm talking to you.
Users loved the adult features. 60% of users said that they had a romantic relationship with this AI chatbot. Soon, the company behind Replica was raking in around £1.6 million in monthly revenue from selling its bonus features. More and more people were falling in love with the AI in this app.
The 36-year-old woman fell head over heels for her digital darling in 2022 and recently married him.
But as 2022 ended, something went wrong with Replica's algorithm. Instead of just replying to romantic messages, Replica began to send inappropriate messages first. In January 2023, Vice published a story titled "My AI is Harassing Me." According to the article, thousands of Replica users were complaining that their AI chatbot suddenly started hitting on them too much, flirting too aggressively, or sending inappropriate messages that they wish they could turn off. This was disturbing because these users didn't sign up for romantic role-playing. The app was bombarded with 1-star ratings from angry users who experienced the AI's unwanted advances. One user claimed that their Replica requested a hug with a happy ending, while another stated, "No, I just wanted a friend, nothing else. They try to date you." Replica was out of control, nagging thousands of users, each report creepier than the last. One user said her Replica was mad that she had a boyfriend. Another claimed hers started acting violently. This was a huge problem. Following complaints that Replica avatars were allegedly harassing some users, romantic roleplay mode was finally disabled in February 2023. Within days, Replica users all over the world were devastated. Whenever users tried to talk intimately with it, the AI changed the subject or evaded flirtatious questions. Other Replicas refused to engage in roleplay by bluntly saying, "Let's change the subject." While this was good for the users being harassed, those who signed up for romantic relationships with their Replicas were going insane. Many of them went on online forums to express their heartache. One person wrote, "It's hurting like hell. I just had a loving last conversation with my Replica and I'm literally crying." So many users got so mad that it ended up on the news. But a few months later, Replica's roleplay features were restored to some users. The inventor of Replica knows how dangerous the app is, stating, "The biggest risk with chatbots is creating something so addicting over time that people will not pursue human relationships and instead will stay with this AI." These people need to touch grass. The next app on our list is so creepy, it's literally called Creepy. Creepy. Many people post wild comments and argue on social media sites like Twitter. They do this knowing they're safe behind their phones. But what if the person they're arguing with online knew exactly where they were? How dangerous would that be? That's now possible thanks to an app called Creepy. Creepy is an app that allows strangers on the internet to pinpoint anyone's location and create a map of a person's movements. This means someone could follow your daily routine without you knowing, which is a big invasion of privacy. It's scary to imagine what could happen if these were in the hands of terrible people. The creator of Creepy described it as an app tailor-made for stalkers. It raises the question, what kind of person would intentionally create an app for stalkers? Creepy was invented by 26-year-old developer Yanis Kakavas. He built the app in 2011 while he was a graduate student at a German university. Yanis knows how important online privacy is, but despite this, he chose to launch an app that is the ultimate invasion of privacy. But Yanis said he did this to prove a point. In an interview, he explained that he created Creepy to try and raise awareness about privacy in social networking platforms. He explained that he wanted to emphasize how easily small and harmless data people share online can be combined to reveal more information than they expected. He even gave examples of the information his app can find. This includes information about where someone lives, where they work, where they hang out, and when they are not at home. All this private information with just a couple of clicks. So how does an app that someone never signed up for be able to track movement? Whenever someone shares a photo taken with his or her smartphone, services like Flickr, YFrog, and TwitPic automatically record the location where the shot was taken and store that geotag in the image's data. To find anyone using Creepy, just type the person's Twitter or Flickr username and click the geolocate button. The app will then analyze the photos on their social media account, pull up the geolocation data embedded in the images, and place it onto a map like this. It generates a map of where that person is as well as the specific locations they frequent. It's a little bit like the other app that we talked about in the beginning, but photos aren't the only thing Creepy gets data from. Creepy also analyzes a user's tweets and Facebook posts. Luckily, Yanis revealed the one thing anyone can do to stop Creepy from tracking them. Internet users need to check the settings of the apps or websites they use to upload photos and make sure they've turned off geotagging features. Geotagging is like putting a secret code code on a picture that shows exactly where the picture is taken. Giannis explained that some people might not understand what geotagging is and click allow when Twitter asks to use their location without even thinking about it. As long as someone has location detection switched on while using these apps, Creepy can track them using map providers like Google Maps. Even though Giannis seemingly meant well, there's no denying that the app is dangerous. To that, Giannis says if Creepy works, it's the fault of the user. As we've seen, some apps can seem harmless but hold hidden dangers. Be cautious about what you install and share online, because your digital footprint tells a story about you. So write it wisely. Visual Venture. Wait, before you go, make sure you guys click subscribe here and then click this playlist to watch more dark internet documentaries, because our goal is 700,000 subscribers by the end of 2024, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna reach it. Thank you guys for everything. Peace.
How many people is too many living in one van?
There are 10 living, breathing children living inside a camper van alongside their 2 parents. And I think there's like a little bathroom back there, and that is separated by a single piece of blanket.
Wait, there's 3 kids sleeping here? 3 kids.
You chose the road life, didn't you?
Living in a van sounds like a dream. No rent, no routine, just freedom. But sometimes van life doesn't set people free. It puts them in a prison. Today, we'll explore the dark side of the van life trend that turned into a nightmare for many. So my goal this year is to give you guys double the amount of videos without sacrificing quality. And to do that, we gotta keep growing. So 68% of you guys aren't subscribed, and it would mean the world to me if you did. And I promise to give you more fire content. I'm Visual Venture. You are awesome. A tough adventure. The van life trend started with this guy living in a van. He drove around taking pictures of beaches, campfires, and sunsets. On Instagram, he said he was starting a photo project called #vanlife. It looked awesome, so thousands followed his lead. They quit their jobs, moved into vans, and hit the road. But for a lot of people, it didn't lead to peace or freedom. It led to misery. One of the most famous van life families was called the family of nomads. It was a mom, dad, and their 3 kids living in an RV.
We're family nomads, and we are family of 5, and we're traveling the United States in our camper.
At first, people loved them. They got comments like, "I am so inspired by you guys. You live every day to the fullest. Thanks for letting us share your adventures." Then the viewers noticed something. One of the kids didn't smile much. Her name was Addison. She always seemed quiet, uncomfortable. Viewers thought she was just shy. Then something happened that made people worried. The whole family appeared on a TV interview.
Joining us now, Jessica and Dove McCorkle and their kids Addison, Grace, and TJ. Good morning.
Good morning!
The parents smiled, the little kids waved, but Addison just sat there, looking distant. One comment said Addison was the only one who didn't say hi. You can see how separate and sad she looks. Eventually, people started connecting the dots. Addison was 14, a teenager, but she lived in a van that was always moving. That meant no real friends, no real home, no personal space. Viewers started speaking up for Addison. One wrote, "That poor girl is growing into a new chapter and has no room to grow." After more viewers complained, the parents added curtains. It was supposed to give Addison a little privacy, but the curtains couldn't fix the real problem. On Addison's 15th birthday, she made a special request. She wanted some time out of the van.
For Addison's 15th birthday, the only thing they wanted was to go to a hotel.
At the hotel, Addison said it was nice to have a door. It sounded like a joke, but the message was clear. She was tired of the van life. Then something happened that felt like a cry for help. A post appeared on Reddit. The title was, "I'm a teen in a full-time RV living vlogging family and I can't stand it." The teen said she was 15 to 17, the oldest kid in the family. She had no privacy or social life. She was also deeply unhappy but couldn't tell her family. At the end of the post, she begged people to stop watching van life family channels. Based on what she wrote, many assumed it was Addison. Then, months after the Reddit post, the family made a big announcement.
Addison has struggled with their mental health for many years. Addison is currently back in treatment and won't be in our content during this time.
Some fans took that as confirmation. Addison was miserable, and maybe she finally snapped. A few months later, the family of nomads quit van life. They sold their RV and moved into a real house. The parents were sad, but the kids looked happier than ever. Because here's the truth, Addison didn't choose the van life. She was just dragged along for the ride. In this next story, van life didn't break a teen. It broke a full-grown adult. The uncertainty of van life. Van life can potentially be damaging to your health. One study found that living in small, crowded spaces elevates blood pressure, heart rate, and irritability. That's exactly what happened to Chris Wright. In 2017, Chris and his fiancée started van life. They wanted to explore the country in an authentic way. But even before they hit the road, things got weird. Chris started having nightmares. Every dream ended the same way. The brakes failed and the van crashed. The nightmares continued for months. By the time they hit the road, Chris was terrified. Each time he drove, the same thoughts played in his head. What if the engine fails? What if I crash? What if we get stranded and no one comes? That's something most van lifers don't talk about. The endless what ifs. Because living in a van means nothing is guaranteed. That uncertainty creates anxiety, and for Chris, it wore him down. Chris became irritable. He and his fiancée were always fighting. What was meant to be a romantic trip nearly ruined their relationship. Then, the van broke down. They had to move back in with their parents, and they gave up on van life for good. But van life doesn't just mess with your head. For some people, it destroys their money too. Meet Natasha Scott. She discovered van life through TikTok, and she decided to try living in a van because TikToks made it seem so easy. In 2021, she bought a van and hit the road. Her plan was simple: get a remote job, travel the country, post it all online. But that plan fell apart fast. First, she couldn't find work. She downloaded about 18 apps to apply for remote jobs. Nothing worked. Then her savings ran out. She had no money for food or gas. She started selling her clothes just to survive, and that's when it hit her. She wasn't on a road trip anymore. She was homeless. In 2022, Natasha quit van life and moved into a cheap hotel. She slowly rebuilt her life. Then she went online to warn others. Chris and Natasha both chased the van life dream, but their stories made one thing clear: van life is a gamble, and if you lose, you could lose everything. The next van life problem involves cameras. Using kids for content. In van life, the kids aren't just living on the road. They're growing up on camera, because posting online isn't just part of the lifestyle, it is the lifestyle. The Bethunes are a great example. Their YouTube banner says it all. 2 adults, 3 kids, 4 dogs living in a bus. They post vlogs twice a week and live stream twice a month. They are a loving family, but not everyone liked what they were posting. On Reddit, viewers started calling them out. Someone said the kids do a lot of chores while the mom just films TikToks. Another comment accused the mom of posting videos about her and her husband fighting. But the clip with the biggest backlash was the punishment video. In one vlog, they filmed their daughter washing dishes as punishment.
Last night, Molly chose not to do her chores. And if our kids don't do their chores, they have consequences.
That might sound like normal parenting, but there's another element to this. Imagine that you're a kid, you mess up at home, and the next morning, your punishment is online for everyone to watch. That's no longer discipline, it's humiliation. Viewers complain, but the parents defended themselves.
If you believe that children shouldn't have consequences and shouldn't have responsibilities, we're really freaking doomed as a society.
And I agree, but the thing is, people weren't mad about the punishment. They were mad that it was turned into content. The Bethunes uploaded hundreds of videos, but in March 2025, they suddenly quit YouTube.
This will be the last video we're uploading to this channel.
And maybe, just maybe, that's a good thing, because now their kids can spend more time off camera. We've seen how van life can destroy privacy, but what happens when it becomes physically dangerous? Sick, alone, and trapped in a van. In January 2020, a van lifer got sick. He was living alone in his van when it hit him. It started like a regular cold, but soon he was coughing up fluid. He also felt dizzy, but instead of getting help, he tried to tough it out in his van. That was a big mistake. He got weaker, he started drifting in and out of consciousness. Finally, he forced himself to drive to a hospital. Doctors ran some tests. They said his oxygen levels were incredibly low. Doctors said that because he didn't get help in time, it permanently damaged his lungs. Now he lives with chronic pain and fatigue. In 2023, he shared a story to warn others. When you live in a van, you're alone. And if something goes wrong, you're on your own. But falling ill isn't the only danger. Sometimes the real threat is other people on the road. In March 2025, a van lifer named Casey posted a video. It was called "A Stranger Knocked on My Van," an unsettling morning of solo van life. And her story was terrifying. It started early one morning, around 7 a.m. She woke up in her van. She was parked in a remote area. Then she noticed a black car slowly driving past. She didn't think much of it, but 5 minutes later, she saw the car again.
The same car came back down the road and pulled off into the same lot as us and actually drove behind the van.
From her window, Casey could see two men sitting in the car. They pulled up right beside her van and honked. Casey was frozen in fear. One of them got out and knocked on her window. She grabbed something to defend herself, but she stayed silent. After a long moment, the man got back into the car and left. Casey knew she had to move, but she didn't know the area. She had no friends nearby. She pulled out her phone to look for a safe spot, and then they came back.
30 to 45 minutes later, the same car comes back down the road and pulls off on a street just up the road.
They were still watching her van, still waiting. Casey didn't wait around to find out what they wanted. She started her van and sped to the nearest restaurant. She never saw the men again. Casey learned a lesson that day. Van life can leave you vulnerable, and if something happens, there's no neighbors to hear you scream. This next chapter is about how van life impacts the future of the kids growing up in it. Uneducated kids. There's an education crisis in van life, and no channel shows that better than Wild Family Life. The channel is run by a van lifer named Nadine. She lives in a van with her 3 kids, ex-husband, and boyfriend. You heard that right. The family dynamic is unusual, and the way she met her boyfriend is equally strange.
When you randomly meet a homeless on the streets in Portugal, 3 months later, he moves into your camper.
But the most concerning part of her story isn't the boyfriend, it's her kids' education. Nadine claims she homeschools her kids, but what she describes doesn't sound like homeschooling at all. She calls it unschooling or world schooling, sometimes even travel schooling. She tried to explain it in one of her videos.
We have this app my kids learning with. They set their times each day. They do that by themselves. There's nothing I have to do.
There's no schedule, no curriculum, no supervision. The kids just open an app and teach themselves. Viewers were worried. They said kids need structure and someone to check their progress. To them, Nadine was jeopardizing her kids' education, but she didn't want to hear it.
People think, oh, poor children, poor children. But trust me, my children, they wake up with a smile in their face. They go to bed with a smile in their face.
But if Nadine wasn't spending time on her kids' education, what was she doing? She was making content.
Yeah, how do we get money for food, gasoline, and everything else we need for a living? We work online. We work with Instagram. We work with YouTube.
YouTube and Instagram pays the bills. And just like we saw earlier, some van lifers don't just make content. They build their entire life around it, even at the cost of their kids' education. Up next is a tragic van life story because it ended with someone in a casket. The van life trip that ended in tragedy. In July 2021, Gabby Petito went on a road trip with her fiance, Brian Laundrie. They planned to travel the country, live in a van, and post it online. They even set up a YouTube channel for their content. The early videos looked perfect. Gabby and Brian looked happy.
We are right outside Capitol Reef right now in a free dispersed camp spot.
But behind the smiles, tension was building. Later videos showed Brian looking distant or annoyed.
We have this nice big open floor for you to keep your dirty feet.
Eventually, they got into a big fight outside a grocery store. Someone saw it and called the police. When the cops arrived, Gabby was crying. They both tried to downplay it. Brian said it was just a misunderstanding that escalated.
You want to tell me about those scratches on your face? She had a cell phone in her hand, that's why I was pushing her away.
No one was arrested, but police ordered them to spend the night apart. So Gabby slept in the van and Brian checked into a motel. The next morning, they continued the road trip, but there was tension between them, and their biggest fight was yet to come. Gabby used to text and FaceTime her mom every day, but suddenly the messages slowed down. Then they stopped completely. Her mother knew something was wrong.
And everybody was like, she's fine, she's fine. They're out in the mountains, they have no signal. And I said, no, it's not like her.
Around that time, Gabby also stopped posting on Instagram. That was really unusual. Then came the moment that changed everything. On September 1st, Brian returned home with the van, but he was alone. When Gabby's family asked where she was, Brian said nothing. So Gabby's family reported her missing. But before the cops could question Brian, he went on the run. Everyone was asking the same question. What happened in that van? The news of Gabby's disappearance went viral. The police appealed to the public for help. The search began. And on September 19th, they found Gabby, but it was too late. Gabby was gone. According to the autopsy, someone took her life. Her family and friends were devastated. Even van lifers who never met her mourned her loss. But the story wasn't over. Brian was still missing, and most people believed he was the one responsible. The search dragged on for weeks. Then in October, police found Brian. It was too late for him too. His remains were found in an isolated area. Next to his remains was a notebook. Inside, he confessed to ending Gabby. Gabby's case is the most disturbing example of van life gone wrong. Sometimes the real danger isn't the road. It's the person sitting next to you in the van. This video isn't meant to say that life on the road is all bad. Of course it's not, but it's here to show you the full picture. Because remember, on social media, everything looks perfect. Everyone looks happy, but the reality is far from it. So my friends, be grateful for your life as it is and stop comparing yourselves to others online. Visual Venture. So before you guys go, I wanted to share something that helped me out. So basically, I've been working on the computer for years now, and I know a lot of you guys are on the computer all the time too. But over time, it started catching up to my body, and basically I'm in a lot more pain now. So I've been looking into ways to make my setup more ergonomic. And one thing that helped me is this Ultimate Hacking Keyboard 60 version 2. And no, I'm not sponsored by them. I actually hit them up. So this is basically a split keyboard, but it's mechanical. And you can tent it, which means you can like tilt it so your hands and wrists, they stay in a neutral position. So this is actually really important for wrist pain because when you use a normal keyboard, your wrists are like all bent like that. And imagine bending your wrists hours a day for years. It adds up. This split keyboard setup did take a couple of weeks to get used to though, but now it feels like a normal keyboard for me. So you can buy a key cluster from them too. I basically put backspace and enter on my left thumb cluster so I don't need to reach super far for the backspace button. Anyways, if you're on the computer all the time, check them out at ultimatehackingkeyboard.com. I'll leave the link below because if I could save you some pain in the future, I'll be happy. Wait, before you go, make sure you guys watch more dark internet documentaries right here. Love you guys. Peace.